whenever they're ready. All right. Good morning. This is Judge Alyssa Perez resuming the criminal docket for the 210 District Court for June 30th, 2022. Again, all matters being heard today are being heard in accordance with all emergency orders and directives regarding COVID-19. In addition to that, we are streaming all matters live via YouTube for public viewing. Mr. Marufo, would you call our next case, please?
In cause number 2021-0D02881, State of Texas versus Luis Garcia Puente. Announcement of council, please.
Roa King for the state of Texas.
Morning, Your Honor. Matthew Coates for Mr. Luis Puente Garcia. Ready, Your Honor.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. DeCotes. I hope you're able to explain to your client the need to kind of make this a hybrid hearing, as it is also impacting my ability to use my video because I am operating remotely and the internet just doesn't quite let me do everything at the same time. So in that vein, I would also ask that if at some point you can't hear me because maybe my internet becomes unstable, you please let me know. We are back. Any objection going forward in this manner, Mr. DeCotes?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. We had left the hearing, gosh, it seems like more than a couple of weeks ago, on the motion to dismiss. And I believe both sides had filed supplements to their original motions. I do still have the original exhibits. I don't know if you all intend, will you all be presenting any further exhibits today or just proceeding on arguing the additional supplements to your motions?
The state will not introduce any additional exhibits, Your Honor.
Mr. DeCotes?
Likewise, Your Honor.
Okay. So before I get any more discussion from you all, I'll tell you exactly what I'm looking at based on the exhibits that I reviewed. And I'm not suggesting that defense has conceded their original point regarding notice of the actual protective order and the court's understanding that the notice requirement attaches more to the notice of hearing on the protective order hearing. So I am focused on that. And within the exhibits, I believe it was in State's Exhibit A, and just bear with me because I'm looking at these. I'm sorry, it was State's Exhibit B. I'm looking at these online. My concern is regarding the notice.
Coach Anthony.
Still there, Your Honor?
Yes, my apologies. My Alexa is reminding me of the Council of Judges meeting in an hour that has since been canceled. Sorry about that. So again, as to State's Exhibit B, the document that actually had the notice, Mr. DeCotes, did you review that? The one that has what appears to be like a Post-it that says on hold till he returns from Galveston Hospital, left, and it's hard for me to see on this copy, but I know I could see it on the original. Left 3/11/2020. Did you?
Yes, Your Honor, I did see that. And that's the crux of my argument, that my client didn't even get notice to begin with,
Right.
of the hearing.
Right.
And that initially I'd conceded that, but then when the state introduced their
Right.
evidence to, for lack of better words, to our happiness, it was on there.
Mm-hmm.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I did speak to intake department before the last hearing, and I did inquire about that handwriting, and they did let me know that they believe that's the note that the DA's intake department actually made, not the staff from TDC.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they would
No.
know that. Yeah, these are the records that are coming from TDC, right?
Yes, but
That's
we
my
made
understanding. I'm not objecting to the argument, knowing that it's simply argument and not evidence.
Mhm.
As to the source of that, there's been no evidence.
And so I guess what I'm asking for is, have you been able to look, Ms. King, and see, what I want to know is this: did Mr. Puente Garcia return to the TDC facility where he would have received that notice prior to the actual hearing date on the protective order? Do you have any evidence of that?
Your Honor, you mean from the hospital?
Correct. So what is indicated in those documents from TDC is that when they served TDC and TDC signed off on that notice of hearing for the protective order, somehow there is a posted notification on that notice that the defendant physically was not present in that facility because he had been transferred to the hospital in Houston or Galveston the previous day. The court has got to, could speculate that it's very unlikely or almost impossible, it would seem like, that he would be back in time. But do you have anything showing that he had returned and was given that notice of hearing before the actual hearing date and protective order were entered by default?
No, Your Honor, but the note was, so how we received the certified document, and then what happened is we make a note on that, and that's how it was scanned into Odyssey. So the only way I can use to show that it's not the note that it's not on there from TDC is to request for another certified copy.
So, but the documents that you provided should have had no changes, right? Because the custodian that signed off on it was a TDC custodian, right?
Correct.
So I'm not quite sure why the DA's office would have put a sticky on a packet of documents that, would appear to change, what their contents. That sounds very strange.
And Your Honor, I'm not too sure, with all honesty, that's kind of intake.
And I also don't know how intake would know. That really, I don't even understand that explanation at all. What this appears to the court to be in States Exhibit B is a TDC sticky on their notice because they accepted the notice of the hearing on Mr. Puente's behalf and then realized that he was physically not there, put a sticky on it, and there is no follow through unless you have additional documents from TDC indicating that when he was ultimately notified of the hearing. Do we have anything about his hospitalization in dates or transfer back from Galveston?
Your Honor, the state does not. I did want to bring it up to the court's attention that the indictment was March 27th. And I believe that's why we have this, I guess, the sticky or the note from intake that indicates he will not return until March 11th. And that's why the indictment happened, or it was indicted after.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure where. I know that's what you're saying, Ms. King, is that somehow the DA's office put that sticky there, but there's no real proof of that. I don't see. I find it very hard to believe that that's the case. Because if it is, then that packet of documents is not accurate, right?
Your Honor, the state does not have medical records or a copy of, but that's something I can obtain. I don't know if Mr. Decotes has, but I can go ahead and subpoena that if the court would allow, to clarify why there is a strange note by our office.
Well, that's what you're saying. I'll tell you this, I had requested, and I apologize that I don't have this in hand now, but I had requested the original family file on the underlying protective order. And I'm only going based on memory, again, because I'm operating remotely. The documents have that sticky there in that file. I mean, it's not an original sticky. It looks just like the document here. So I really don't know when the DA's office would have put their hands on it to have put that sticky. In other words, Ms. King, this is something that appears even in the 2015, it's a 2015 case, right? The DCM, the family case.
Yes,
The
and,
underlying- Mhm.
and it expired 2017, I believe, and then the default to reinstate that PO was at 2020, my memory.
Okay. Ms. King, if you think you can supplement, how much time are you going to need on that?
Just 1 week, Your Honor.
Mhm.
I can request for an expedited,
Okay. Okay.
and I will share the documents with Mr. Dakotes and the court. And of course, after I review it myself as well, if I see that is the case, then, and there's a resolution beforehand, then I will let the court know as well.
Mr. Dakotes?
Leave to the wise discretion of the court, Your Honor.
So I really don't want to delay this much longer, but that's my question. It appears to me right now, without anything else, that Mr. Puente did not receive notice of the hearing. And I think potentially what it looks like is we have an invalid protective order, which, that is separate and apart. That protective order will still stand even if this case gets dismissed, unless the state can show that Mr. Puente did personally receive notice of the hearing on the protective order that I believe was March 23rd. Please understand, I'm kind of operating on memory on that issue. Let me go back to the documents. Let's see, there it is. I'm sorry, it was March 27th.
Mhm.
Okay, so scheduling is going to be slightly tricky on this. Obviously, Ms. King, I don't have a problem with the week, but I will not be able to schedule you and this to continue until the week. I would probably say the 15th at 8 a.m., July 15th at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
because we will be in trial on other matters. That has got to be the soonest I can bring you all back.
Thank you, Your Honor.
What I would ask though is that adhere to that week deadline so that if there's an additional filing, Mr. Dakotes has the opportunity to review, inquire, and file anything that he needs to before the 15th.
Absolutely.
Okay.
May I please inquire, Your Honor, what day is the 15th, please?
It's a Friday.
Okay. Again, since the court has ordered that, I have no problem with it at this point. I am scheduled from the 9th to the 16th to be in Wisconsin visiting my sister.
Mhm.
So if there's any way, maybe on the following Monday or Tuesday or whenever the court can.
I'm more than happy to do that. I'm more than happy to do that. We can do it on the Tuesday after, and it'll be at 11 a.m. as well. Honestly, by that point, I don't think I need to do it in person, so to speak, unless you would like that, Mr. Dakotes.
No, I'm fine, Your Honor. If the state, whatever documents they show, hopefully in the interest of justice, that will allow the court to make the court's decision.
Sure. So we'll do this, that should be 15, 16, 17, 18, 19th, is that right? The 19th of
19th.
July, the Tuesday, I'm sorry?
It is the 19th, Judge.
Okay, at 11 a.m. via Zoom. So we will not need to transport Mr. Garcia. And please just, yes, continue to adhere to the deadlines so we can have everything we need ready to go for that Tuesday hearing.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you,
all.
ma'am. Good
Okay,
day.
take care. All righty. So with that, I see Mr. Ortiz is still talking, but we can bring in Mr. Gutierrez and see.
Your Honor, do you have your Teams open?
I do, and I was just trying to get there. Everything's
Okay.
speaking at the same time. Give me a second. Okey doke. So Mr. Ortiz, whenever you're ready.
In cause number 2018-0D06649, State of Texas versus Steven Gutierrez. Announcement of council, please.
Rova King for the state of Texas.
Good morning, Judge Ruben Ortiz. I have Mr. Steven Gutierrez.
Deborah Ivavia, Adult Probation Department.
Okay, and Mr. Gutierrez, he was here. Oh my goodness, he was here for the longest time. Maybe he's getting disconnected. There he comes back. Okay. All right, and we were scheduled, is it what are we scheduled for today? Is it Mr. Marujo?
Judge, we had filed a motion to remove the alcohol monitoring device,
Mhm.
and then we were here not that long ago, Judge. I want to say June 2nd,
Mhm.
and you asked us to review that. You're going to review this in 6 months to discuss the driver's license issue, and then I think what we did is we filed a motion to allow him to drive. I think that became an issue.
Mhm.
Permission to drive outside of El Paso for work purposes, Judge. I think that's why we're here.
Okay. I do remember that. Part of my concern, just when we were discussing it informally, was that he did not have a valid driver's license. Does he have a valid driver's license and insurance?
I believe that he does, but we can ask Mr. Gutierrez.
Ms. Ibabe, have you had a chance to speak with Mr. Gutierrez on that? And has he provided proof of a valid driver's license and insurance?
He did provided you on the case summary. It shows that he is eligible for that. On the second page, on the fourth page, Your Honor, you'll
I
see
understand.
the record.
Yeah, but you're saying he's eligible. Does he have a valid driver's license?
Let me check on that, Your Honor, for you.
Mr. Gutierrez, do you have a valid driver's license?
He was issued,
Yes, ma'am. They never took it away, ma'am.
the expiration date on that one, Your Honor, is 11/17/29. The
Okay.
issue date was on 11/15/21.
Okay, and I think that's on the case summary that I saw, I think that's what they were showing was that the driver's license had expired back in 21. But so I understand then he has provided to probation a valid driver's license and insurance. Is it a CDL? Is that what it is, or what is it?
Yes, ma'am. It's a CDL, ma'am.
Okay, all right. All right, so the request is what, Mr. Ortiz? The driving?
Mr. Gutierrez, can you tell the judge what you're requesting, please?
Yes, ma'am. Well, right now I'm a diesel mechanic, but with the prices and cost of living going up, I was thinking of going over the road, Arizona, back to El Paso, or Dallas, back to El Paso, just 4 days out of the week, and then 3 days off. You know what I mean? It's just the pay's a little bit better that way. You know what I mean? But it's just to go to Phoenix and back, and Dallas and back. That's it.
And that's for work purposes, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I'm operating from home and the court mascot once.
Okay.
Miss, sorry, Missy Bobbitt or Carla, did we discuss, well, let me ask, does Mr. Gutierrez have permission to leave El Paso County?
No, Your Honor, he did not.
Okay. And did we discuss that last time? I feel like we kind of started to talk about it and then maybe we just left it alone, maybe because I didn't want to ask any more questions. Did we discuss that at the last hearing?
Sorry, Your Honor, I don't recall this being brought up.
Okay, but one of his conditions is he cannot leave El Paso County, right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Gutierrez, that's the problem because you're leaving El Paso County just whenever you want, right?
Well, I think I would have like a set schedule. It would
No,
be.
I'm asking not prospective, not in the future. What I mean is while you've been on probation, you've been leaving El Paso County because the monitor tells me right now that you're in Tucson.
Well, I'm in El Paso here, ma'am.
What is this that I just received on the report?
Yes, ma'am, but you were correct.
Yeah.
It is dated on 6/30/2022, Your Honor, at 5:19 a.m. He did test negative with 0.000. The map indicates Tucson, Arizona.
And in the report, I have you all over the place. When you know you weren't supposed to leave El Paso County, you're not in El Paso County right now.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here. I'm in the Montana yard right now, ma'am.
Mr. Ortiz, my problem is, and I hope you know that, especially when it comes to work matters, the court is completely understandable as long as, you know, the probationer is following the rules. And part of my issue, I know he got his monitor, there was some confusion about the license, but he's not following the rules. Mr. Gutierrez, you're leaving El Paso County. Let me go back to the case summary.
Hey, Judge, can I just say something, Judge, real quick? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Who is that? I'm not looking at the screen. Mr. Gutierrez, is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
When I first got the DWI and I went in front of you the very first time, that's when I was working at Carlsbad and you gave me permission because I was working Carlsbad, you know what I mean? So you had given me permission at the beginning. So that's why I had thought and I kept going with it. Even with the PR bond hearing while I was still dealing with my case, you told me that I was able to be, as long as I was on the interlock monitor on my vehicle, I was able to drive. And as long as they didn't take away my license, but I was working in Carlsbad and then I got transferred here to El Paso, but you had given me permission since the beginning though.
Can someone confirm that?
There's no modifications, Your Honor, that indicates that he was allowed to travel for work purposes. There's nothing filed.
Well, I don't think it'd be a modification, Judge. I think it'd be from the very beginning when the hearing first took place.
Yes,
I mean, when he first went in front of the court, that's what he's saying. That when he first went in front of the court, I guess when he originally pled guilty, is when that matter was I guess when that matter was discussed, Your Honor. So there would be no modification for that, Your Honor.
Let me go back and look. Give me a second. I don't want to, your client seems to have a pretty clear memory of that. It's just going to take me a minute. Let's get off of YouTube real quick and I want to delve into his case. Unless somebody can tell me on Odyssey quickly because my computer is
Your Honor, I just looked up the conditions of probation and it doesn't note, there's no notation on the initial conditions of probation that state that he's allowed to leave for travel purpose, for employment purposes or that he's allowed to drive. It states for him to have the portable alcohol monitor with GPS and internet access.
What I want to go back and look at, and maybe Ms. Melendez, you can do this for me. Can you look back at whatever his last PR bond order was that might reflect?
Yes, Judge, that's exactly what I'm doing right now.
Great.
Your Honor, If-
And sorry, Ron, just before we go ahead and divert to something else, I do see here, Judge, the latest PR bond does say that he shall not travel outside of El Paso County without court permission except for work purposes. And that is signed on the 7th of February, 2019. That's the latest one.
All right, Ms. King?
Your Honor, I was going to just request, if it's okay with the court, to have Mr. Gutierrez actually use his mobile unit right now. Because that test that located him in Tucson was actually at 5 a.m. this morning.
Right, but he could have driven back. I mean.
It's only 4 hours away.
Yeah, he could have driven back. Yeah.
Your Honor, the
I mean,
reason,
I feel, okay, go ahead. Tell me if there's something I'm missing here.
Your Honor, just from the hearing on June 2nd, there was in the report that he did blow 0.05, I believe.
0.057 on 4/17/2022, Your Honor.
But I don't know why we're talking about that, Judge, because we discussed that already back on June 2nd, and that issue we would take back up, Your Honor, on in 6 months. So sometime in 6 months, Your Honor, you wanted to discuss
Right.
the driver's license issue, Your Honor.
And
So I don't know why we're going back to that issue yet, Judge. When all he's doing is requesting, Your Honor, to continue to work, to make some money. And I think everybody knows what's going on with their economy right now. It's not doing very well. And he's trying to be one of those responsible individuals that's actually trying to keep up with his payments of his bills and his debts, Your Honor.
What are his,
And-
hold on, Mr. What are his test windows, Missy Bobbitt?
Yes, Your Honor. Let me provide it for you. Test windows we have from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., and 10 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Okay, we can keep those windows. All right. So on one hand, yes, Mr. Ortiz is right. We did address the positive blow. My concern is this, again, it always comes back to the same thing, Mr. Gutierrez. Are you going to be able to follow the rules or not? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt in the sense that if you were on PR bond and we had discussed the issue of being able to leave El Paso County to work, that would have been something I would be likely to agree to while you're on probation. However, understand that is not what the probation condition said. Okay, they said you were to not leave El Paso County without court permission, and you have been doing that frequently. I am also going to assume in your favor that all of those leaving of El Paso counties weren't to go see, a football game. They were actually because you were working, and that's the only reason for which I will allow it. So we are going to modify Mr. Gutierrez to allow him to leave El Paso County for work purposes only. And I'm not limiting that, Mr. Gutierrez, wherever you need to drive or for work purposes, as long as it's for work purposes, you will have that permission. But then that makes a responsibility on you to provide your probation officer with that information, because just as we were sitting here now and they're showing me the report that you're testing in Tucson at 5 o'clock in the morning, they're going to continue to see these things. And unless they know from you ahead of time that, well, I had to go to Phoenix on these dates, I'm returning these dates, it's going to mean a lot of information going back and forth from you to your probation officer. And the second you have not told her and you are somewhere without notice to your probation officer, they're going to let me know. But I also want you to understand that this is a concession on the court's part. I completely understand the need to be able to provide for yourself, your family, and I'm not going to impede you from doing that. But because of the type of case that you're on probation for, I normally don't let people drive, period. I don't care if you have a license or not. Was this a true third, Ms. King?
Your Honor, I believe so. He does have, he does have possession felony convictions.
Okay, but it's a true third. We're
I
not
think the
talking.
question was about DWI thirds, right, Judge?
Yeah, it's not
And
a
I-
fifth, it's not a, so, you know, you're right there. You're right there, Mr. Gutierrez, at the point where I'm giving you a little leeway because of the concerns you've expressed, but that means that I'm very close to zero tolerance when it comes to that monitor. I better not see in 6 months, we are gonna come back. You're gonna have your permission to go. Has he done his 10 days ACOP?
That is still pending, Your Honor.
Mm. Mhm. I'm gonna, in terms of modifying those conditions, I will allow him to work with, like I mentioned before, insurance, monitor compliance, all of those things, driver's license. But in that 6 months period, I also want those 10 days ACOP completed. So when we come back in 6 months, you're gonna have to figure out, Mr. Gutierrez, when you are gonna do your, find the windows. I don't know that work release will work, but you could certainly do weekends to complete your days ACOP. They must be completed by that 6 month review, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
After that, God bless you. I hope everything is good and you remain compliant, because I really don't want to see you back here. I don't want any issues on the monitor. I don't want any issues with reporting. If something comes up on your end that you need the court to consider because it's some type of deviation from the conditions of your probation, then you let your probation officer know. They will let me know, and let your attorney know, and we'll come back for another hearing. If you need another accommodation from the court, I am willing to work with you, but don't do things on your own, because the only thing that tells me is that you're not doing them for the right reasons. Okay?
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
Ms. Ibabe, if you will provide me the modifications on that. I also need you to get squared away with him when he's going to start his weekends, 10 days or however he's going to want to do them. You can do them straight if he wants to, but those will have to be completed. And then, Mr. Ortiz, if we don't already have that setting, we'll get you that setting from 6 months from now to
Thank you,
review.
Judge.
Okay, Mr. Gutierrez will be
Thank
required to appear remotely at that hearing as well.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge, may I?
Anything else outstanding? Mhm. Yes, ma'am.
I just would like to just remind Mr. Gutierrez that we have a top appointment set for 7/18/22 due to the positive violation on 4/17. And I'm still mentioning this because I want for him to comply and not to skip to answer Mr. Molinar's call.
Okay. There you go. I mean, those are the things you need to comply with, Mr. Gutierrez. You have an appointment on the 18th of July. You have to attend. And I'm going to also be very direct with you on this. If I have one positive blow on your monitor, I'm not going to mess around. We're going to get a bench warrant. I don't want any problems of you drinking while you're allowed to drive. You understand?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay, Mr. Ortiz, thank you very much for.
Judge, you know what? One more issue now that we're bringing up other issues. My client, I believe, had some community service hours that are owed to him. I think he provided is that right, Mr. Gutierrez?
Yes, sir.
So you tell the court what's going on with that?
I was told to provide a copy of the vaccination for the COVID. I did. I just want to make sure that I was getting, because she said she lost it. So I don't know how to go about on those.
Who lost it? Who
remaining.
told you they lost it?
The probation officer, Ms. Ibabe.
Your Honor, he did provide me that copy of the card for the vaccination. I'm being covering the front office. I'm being sick. I'm being covering hearings. I did request it for him to resubmit it for me to request for the approval on the donation, the credit for the special project for the vaccination.
Okay, but you
The problem is that
recall,
he can't get that card unless he gets another vaccination, I think. Your Honor.
so you recall though having received it the first time and then it's just kind of lost in transit, or what happened?
That's correct, Your Honor. I've been in and out from the office and then covering the front
Sure,
office with the secretaries. It's been a cause here.
then
So
just
it is not a hard thing for him to provide it again. It's just a.
Well, I think he'd have to get a
resubmitted.
new. I think he'd have to get another test, is what it is. I don't think they just
No,
give you
sir.
a card.
No, sir. It's just the card, the vaccination card. You don't need to take
Okay,
another one. It's only to request.
So then why should he have to be, going back and forth when when you saw that it was already done. I don't understand if
And
it's
you
already, you
submitted to-
visually saw
Hold
it.
on a second, hold on. Okay, so did he physically just drop off the card with probation? Is that what happened?
You know what, Your Honor, he did provide it to me, but like I said, I misplaced the copy of that. If it's
I'm not
like a
understanding.
problem with him,
Stop. What I'm asking is, did he just physically, Mr. Gutierrez, did you physically drop off your vaccination card to probation?
No, ma'am, I handed it personally in person to Miss Ibave.
Okay, so, but what I mean is you didn't have him shoot a copy and you kept it, you just gave him your whole vaccination card?
Yes, ma'am, and she took a copy of, with the report that I filled out that day on the 21st. I gave it to her in person. She was working the front desk when I gave it to her.
Okay.
She
but
made
you
a copy.
You did not retain your vaccination card.
Yes, ma'am, I got my card back. I got my card back, but she just misplaced the copy one.
Okay, so, take a picture of it and email it to Missy Babe. What's the big deal? I mean, you still.
Sorry,
have the-
Judge, I was under the impression, and when I talked to Mr. Gutierrez, that he handed her the card, the only card that he had. I apologize.
No worries, Mr. Gutierrez, this isn't rocket science. Take a picture, send it to probation via email. You still have it. That's all they need is documentation.
Okay, well, it's because she told me that I needed to take it in person. That's why, again, they don't do pictures. That's the reason why I had to take it in, ma'am.
I did request just for you to email it, so you can send it
Okay.
to me. That's fine.
Okay,
All
well,
right? Okay,
yes, ma'am.
next, what else?
May I be excused, Your Honor?
If you don't have anything left on this one, yes, Mr. Ortiz.
Thank you, Judge.